Good evening. July 10th will mark the first anniversary of the death of 38-year-old Melina Del Valle. She was crushed when a portion of the newly constructed Big Dig tunnel ceiling tiles fell on the car she was riding in with her husband. Over the course of the year, fingers have pointed in 1,000 directions. Who and what companies should be held responsible? The Attorney General's office is still considering filing criminal charges, but a wrongful death settlement could be imminent. All right, and with me now, our personal injury attorney, Andrew Meyer.
Be here.
Andrew, obviously no one involved in the settlement talks wanted to come on and chat with us about it today, but tell us how this works. I mean, how many people get together? Is there a lawyer from every single, there are 15 companies involved in this. Is everybody at the table?
Everybody's at the table. You begin with a mediator, who is the person who's going to sit in the middle of all the opposing parties. And then each party is going to have at least one lawyer. In this case, I believe there are numerous lawyers for each person who's involved in the case. And the first order of business for the mediator is to try and determine how much responsibility amongst the defendants each one is going to bear, and what share of the settlement, if there is going to be one, each one takes. Second step is then for that mediator to try and get the two sides to come together on the value of this claim.
And how do they do that? How do they start talking money?
Well, you look at past verdicts, you look at the losses that were sustained here, you look at what can be compensated for. In this particular case, you have the loss of a mother, you have the loss of a wife, you have injuries to the husband himself individually, and then you have what is the big aspect in this case, which is the punitive damage aspect, which is how much will it take, if there is gross negligence here, to in fact punish the defendants so that they feel it, so they don't do something like this again. And one of the things I think you'll find in this case, which has a great potential for, is that there may be charges brought against some of the defendants, not against others. And there may be a settlement against some of the defendants, not against others. So even though the case may settle, even though there may be some kind of resolution to the criminal charges, others may still remain, and this case may well go on.
I read your Lawyers Weekly every week that fills us in on settlements in these cases. But Andrew, you've been quoted a lot recently about this one. It's very crass to talk about the settlement, and I think everybody in the entire world agrees that if anybody deserves something, it is this family. But just in terms of the figures itself, if they had gone to trial, would they likely have gotten a bigger settlement? I mean, we don't know, but the figures have been tossed around like $250 million. But
Right.
would it be greater or less than that if they'd gone to trial?
Well, there are two elements to this kind of claim. One is the compensatory claim, which is the loss of the mother and the wife. And that, when you're dealing with that, those type of numbers are not appropriate, nor has that really ever happened in Massachusetts, nor would it happen, because it is clearly excessive. On the punitive damage claim, we haven't had a lot of punitive damage claims in Massachusetts, but on a national basis, historically, if you want to punish a company like Bechtel, because they knew that they were trying to save money, they were doing it at the risk, they were trying to save money, they were doing it at the risk of human life, and they caused all this suffering, then in fact those type of numbers can be sizable. But the Supreme Court of the United States has made it very clear that one cannot go wild with punitive damages, and they have ruled that in fact there must be some relationship between the compensatory damages, the loss of human life, and the punitive damages, the cost of the company to be punished or stung for the purposes of teaching them a lesson. There's a tremendous amount of exposure for these companies, and there are numerous companies involved here, each one of which could get hit with a punitive damage amount, which could be quite sizable. And as David just said, there's no really precedent for this in Massachusetts. Nationally, we've seen the tobacco companies hit, we've seen the motor companies hit, but we haven't seen it in Massachusetts. So the potential is explosive, but more than likely a settlement will be much more in a lower range than what's been discussed in the papers.
What percentage do the lawyers take from this, whatever kind of a settlement it is?
Well, that depends. I mean, it depends upon what their particular agreement is with the client, and that certainly is between the attorney and the client. Certainly the defense lawyers...
This would probably be made public, though.
I don't think you'll ever see how much the defense lawyers are getting paid, which is the hourly billings that are going on with these people. On the plaintiff side, these cases are usually taken on a contingency basis, which means there's some percentage which will go to the attorneys as payment for their time.
$250 million. All right.
Probably not.
Hopefully they will settle this